Good evening, everybody. So, finally the weekend, Friday evening. Today, my video is gonna be not about the albums, not about the LPs. I'm not gonna show you anything. Well, maybe something. I want to discuss today something. Well, a few weeks ago, I was in Paris trying to catch some of the Rolling Stones in Paris while they were making their shows there. If someone doesn't know, Rolling Stones had 3 shows in Paris from 19th till 25th of October. But that's not what I want to talk about. I heard somebody in the crowd speaking about the albums, which one is the best, the studios, the compilations, and everything like that. And one of them said that I have all the studio albums and I don't need compilations. And in that moment I thought to myself, how wrong you are. So in this video I want to discuss how to correctly collect the discographies of 2 greatest bands in the world, Beatles and Rolling Stones, because they were, simultaneously in the 60s and they applied the same rules. And I just want to show how to correctly collect all the songs, not the albums, but the songs, because sometimes having all the albums doesn't mean you have all the songs. Generally, what was happening in the 60s, everybody knows that first of all they have to release the album in the UK, and then comes the single or before the single, and sometimes the singles were not included on the albums, and it was difficult to find it, and it could bring some kind of mess. So first of all, I'm going to start with the Beatles catalog. And then I will go to the Rolling Stones. So, in order to collect all the songs by the Beatles, it was enough to have the 12 UK albums, Magical Mystery Tour EP, and the singles. Many singles that were released during the years. And in America it was even more complicated because they were releasing more albums with less songs. The singles were mixed in the track listing with the albums. I mean, some songs were from the albums on the UKs and some from the singles. So it was really difficult to collect and really hard to do it. So in order to make it easier, I will be basing on the UK albums, which is the holy Bible of the Beatles. And the albums are Please Please Me, With the Beatles, A Hard Day's Night, Beatles for Sale, Help, Rubber Soul, Revolver, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, The White Album, Yellow Submarine, Abbey Road, and Let It Be. This is the 12 albums that were released officially in UK, plus the singles and the Magical Mystery Tour EP. Now, in 1988, there was a great gift given to us, and this gift is the Beatles' Past Masters, Volume 1 and Volume 2. These 2 albums gather together all the non-album tracks by the Beatles. So, if you have 12 albums UK, if you have the Magical Mystery Tour 45s, the double EP, and the Past Masters, you think everything's okay. But no. Still, Hello Goodbye, Strawberry Fields, Penny Lane, and Baby You Are a Rich Man are still missing. And having mentioned before that Americans made the complicated albums and released many of them and mixed, there is also one album that they did very good favor to us all. They released the Magical Mystery Tour album as the long play, which consisted on the first side the complete double 45, and Hello Goodbye, Strawberry Fields Forever, Penny Lane, Baby You're a Rich Man, and All You Need Is Love, which was eventually re-released on the Yellow Submarine album. So, if you have 12 UK albums by the Beatles, 1 American Magical Mystery Tour, and The Past Masters, Volume 1, Volume 2. That's it. The entire catalogue by the Beatles is finished. I know there were many re-releases and boxes, and I don't have any box. I have only the 80s CDs, and I feel great about it. Now, the same rules applied to the Rolling Stones. But the Rolling Stones is much more difficult to collect. There is one thing I forgot to say. The difference between UK and the US albums was until 1967. The Revolver album, that was the last album that the track listing was different. From Sgt. Pepper until the end, the track listing was the same. The same thing with Rolling Stones, but I will explain it later. With Rolling Stones, it's different. There are 26 United States albums and 24 UK albums. In 64 they released their first album, but before that they released 5-song EP, and after that they also released 5-song EP, and then there was the second album, Out of Our Heads, Aftermath, Between the Buttons, and also came the singles. So already in the first couple of years it was already a mess. It was already confusing. So what did Americans do? They tried to gather all the songs together, and they gave us 7 albums with 2 albums now and 12 times 5. I'm gonna show them to you. These 2 albums, they were released in America, and they included the song, and all these 7 albums included many singles, mostly A-sides, these EPs, and the songs that were released on the albums in the UK. I have to say that it was easier to collect it, but still there are some songs that were not released. For example, I give you one example. The song Painted Black, the single Painted Black, was with a B-side was Long Long While. Now, the Painted Black appears on American version of Aftermath, but it does not appear on the British version of Aftermath. But the song Long Long While does not appear neither here nor here, so it was a problem to collect it. And this is the same story with many other songs. So if you have all the 26 albums, I mean, including the Blue and Lonesome, the new one, it's still a lot of things are missing. A lot of singles are missing from the 60s, and this is a big problem. And here comes, for our help, here comes this compilation, the Rolling Stones Singles Collection, the London Years. This triple album with 3 CDs that consists mostly the UK releases of the singles. And this one closes all the gaps that you might have with the American Rolling Stones 60s albums. And besides, it is very difficult to collect the British versions because, for example, the version of album number 2 was never released on the CD. Well, I'm talking about the CDs. It was released on the CD only once in 1980. I don't remember. In 1988 or 1987, I don't remember. Only in Japan, because it was mixed only in mono and it was very difficult to release on the CD. So it was released only once on mono. It's a Japanese pressing. I mean, it's very rare to find it, and it's impossible to find it on. It has never been printed, issued on stereo, so it's only a mono version. If you want to collect the Rolling Stones UK albums, it's gonna be very difficult because having this album on CD is almost impossible. Either you're gonna have this Japanese pressing, which is rare, or nothing. So it's much easier to go to its equivalent brother, American one, 12 times 5. And that's pretty much is going to help you to close the gaps with the 60s. Now, What about the 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s? I mean, this kind of compilation was released only about the 60s singles. There is nothing like that about the 70s and so on singles, and there is nothing like past masters like compilations. So every single that was released, non-album track that was released after the 70s, you have to find individually, and this is very difficult. And for example, this is the Some Girls album. Way back in 1978 it was released as a normal album, but quite recently it was released as the deluxe version. And it has another CD, bonus material, and it has another additional never before released tracks. So if you want to close the gap on this one, you're gonna have to keep this CD as well. Also in the 70s there was Sucking in the 70s. This is the normal compilation with all the songs that we are aware of, but still, here is one song, only one song. I'm not going to mention all the songs because I'm going to confuse. But anyway, here is only one song that was released only on this album and nowhere else. So if you want to keep it, if you want to close the gap on this song, you're going to have to keep this CD. Another example is the 90s reissue of this 2002 release of 40 Licks. I mean, 36 songs from here are just like lullabies for us. I mean, we know them by heart. But here are 4 songs that were not released before. So, if you want to have these 4 songs, you're going to have to keep this compilation as well. And way back in 2012, when it was 50th anniversary of Rolling Stones, there was another compilation released. This one, with this big ape. It's called GRRR, grrr, something like that. It has 2 songs, Doom and Gloom, and another one. So if you want to have these 2 songs, you're going to have to buy this compilation. So you have to hunt down every single individually. And also I have these 3 singles which were released on the CDs. This is Love is Strong, You Got Me Rockin', and The Saint of Me. So, and there is one little trick with the single Saint of Me. This is a CD version, and it does not contain the rare track. The vinyl version of this single does contain the rare track, so which makes it even more difficult to hunt down every single song. So, not to make it too much confusing, I would like to make it short. I would like to make it more clear. So, if you have 26 studio albums by the Rolling Stones, this is I would say 80% of it, of the 90% of the songs. Then you're gonna have to buy this singles collection from the 60s. Checked. The next one is this compilation Stuck in the 70s because of one song. Also checked. The next is the Some Girls. This one contains 11 additional tracks. This is also here. Checked. Then we are talking about 40 Licks. It has 4 additional songs. Also checked. Then we are talking about this big ape compilation, which is called GRRR. Grrr. I don't have it here with me, but it's another 2 songs. Checked. These 2 singles also contain rare songs each. Checked. This one is useless as a CD, but it's a rare edition, very nice to have it. Checked. And still having all this material in your collection, in your CD collection, still there are some songs missing. Okay? So, whoever thinks out there that having all the studio albums by the Rolling Stones and that's enough, he is wrong. because it is very difficult to collect the Rolling Stones discography, and there are too many releases, and you have to be very careful. But we are happy to do it because we like Rolling Stones, we love Rolling Stones, we love the music, and we're happy that they're still rocking, and I wish them all the best, and I can't wait to see another album released by Rolling Stones, actually. And something like a month ago, I saw Rolling Stones in the concert in Düsseldorf, and I have to say they were rocking like never before. So, really love the Rolling Stones. I don't complain. I just explain to the new collectors and some guys who doesn't know that it's a bit difficult to collect the Rolling Stones every song, but it's still possible. All you have to do is just buy as many CDs as you can. So that was were my thoughts, and that was a little discussion video. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you like it. I hope it was informative. Maybe I said something wrong. Maybe you want some more details about the names of the songs and what is missing. It's not difficult to find it. It's not difficult to find it, but you still have to look at it. You can look for it in the internet. I mean, having all this material that I talked right now, it still remains something around 10 or 15 songs which are missing. You're gonna have to buy it on separate CDs or separate singles. Also, I think available on CDs. Maybe I didn't look that well, but this is the direction. So, love the Rolling Stones, love the Beatles. I wish you a great weekend. Thank you very much for watching.